Have you been in an event production meeting or just at an event and somebody mentions the word Gobo and you're like, what is a Gobo? Well, I'm an event producer and I'm going to break down exactly what it means and hopefully teach you something new along the way so you're better informed at your next meeting, and I might learn something just as well. Before we jump into it, I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events here and all over the world. I do want to remind you to like, subscribe, turn on that little notification bell so you get notified every single Monday when I drop new videos. I'm also the co-host of the Better Events podcast, a podcast that I host with fellow event pro Mary Davidson, and we dive even more into some of these topics that I cover here on YouTube. We talk all about everything from event management, running registration, tips for your gala, show calling, do case studies of different events that I've done. It's really fun, and I highly encourage you to listen wherever you listen to podcasts. So if you've watched a couple of my videos, you might know that I do like explaining terms. I think sometimes in the event industry, it can feel a little gatekeepy with the jargon and the wording we use. So if you're new to the industry, it might be overwhelming where it just sounds like kind of gibberish when people are talking about different things. So this term Gobo, the way you might have heard it mentioned in a meeting, it would be like, do you want Gobos? Will you be bringing the Gobo? Where would you like the Gobo to go? Which is kind of funny to say like that. Are you going to be including Gobos? And I'm going to admit, this is a term that I have used, and I understood the meaning of like what the general gist of what a Gobo was, but I honestly didn't know what Gobo stood for, like why it was called a Gobo. I just knew exactly what it was. But as I hinted to you in the intro there, I'm going to learn something just like you're going to learn something. So here's our definition right below me. You can see it's a Gobo is a small stenciled circular disc and used in lighting fixtures to create a projected image or pattern. I knew that part of it. But the term Gobo is short for go between optics. See, I learned something new. Describing the location where it needs to be positioned in the light path of a lighting fixture. So what a Gobo really is it is a stencil that is, usually it'll have your event logo, is a more common way that I've seen it, but it's a stencil with the logo on it. And what they do is they have your lighting fixture. You put then the stencil here between the light and the surface you're projecting on. So often you'll see these projected on a wall. Honestly, it's mainly a wall, or I've seen it also on the floor. You might, if you go to certain different clubs or businesses, they sometimes have it projected on the floor. And the idea is the Gobo is that stencil that goes between this basic kind of spotlight, single source light. The Gobo stencil goes right there, and then it projects whatever you want on the ground. You're also able to have kind of fun cutout images. It doesn't have to be a set Gobo piece that's like specifically for your event. They also have ones that are like feathers or flowers or just squiggly patterns that make fun different designs with the lighting, and it just makes everything a little bit more dynamic. So often you'll find your organization might already have a Gobo made, their stencil has been made before, and they just need to then bring it with them for every event, and it's just letting your AV vendor know, yes, I have a Gobo, I'm bringing it, can we, please quote me for the lighting to be able to do Gobos. Now, the hard part is don't forget your stencil at the end of the event. Make sure you take that home with you. It's like one of those weird small things that when you're going through your post-event checklist or your wrap-up checklist, you might forget about, and they are valuable. They're usually made of steel or glass. I was doing a little bit more research just because I haven't had to handle as many of them physically myself, that plastic is also coming into it. But it's also something fun. If you're thinking about leveling up your production, doing something like this could just be a fun way to let folks know they're in the right place. You could put a Gobo projection above the staircase where they have to walk up to get into your event, or if you want it to feel a little bit more VIP. Or I did more of like a jungle themed gala once, and we had leaves as were our Gobos, and they were very dynamic and kind of moving around. It just made it feel like we were in a jungle, even though we were in a ballroom. Hopefully you now understand what the term Gobo means, and your eyes won't really glaze over when you hear that. You might pay attention now and see these more often when you're out and about, and now you will know what Gobo means. So this brings me to the end of my video. I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events here and all over the world. I do different videos all about event production, event management, Zoom, hybrid events, virtual, you name it. I'm probably doing a video about it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.